Join me today on GCK for our first trek onto Stubblefield Lake. We'll park in the provided lot just northeast of the bridge on Stubblefield Lake Road in Huntsville. A GPS search for the Stubblefield Lake recreation area should take you right to it. There are restrooms at the nearby campground if needed. The launch is a graded concrete ramp that enters on the northeastern side of the bridge. Thankfully, the parking lot is immediately adjacent to the launch. Here's a quick overview of today's route before we dive in more deeply. From the launch, we'll head left and immediately beneath the Stubblefield Lake Road Bridge. We'll then be greeted by a pristine, reflective avenue flanked by a mixture of bottomland hardwoods and East Texas pine forest. It's a tranquil start to the trek, with plenty of herons and egrets emerging right off the bat. The waterway meanders peacefully throughout this section. For today's paddle, we'll take a western detour into a sheltered and heavily laden section of duckweed and watermeal, with several pods of lily pads dotting the tributary. The increased drag on this section has the lats working overtime, but little by little, we'll weave through it until the tree cover opens up, where we'll bear left onto a slightly wider stretch, still chock full of waterborne greenery. About a quarter-mile beyond, the duckweed begins to dissipate, and Stubblefield Lake proper begins to emerge. Several specimens of native waterfowl continue to dot the periphery of our course. Soon, we'll finally crest the last bastions of saltgrass, where we'll pass on to the northernmost expanse of the lake. At this point, we'll pass a derelict wooden and wire structure to port. It appears as though it was a pen of some kind, but please let me know in the comments if you have a better idea of its purpose. For our southward course onto the lake, we'll stick largely to the middle, taking in the beautiful panorama of the surrounding towering pines. I did encounter a couple of powered craft a bit farther out on this section as well, but nothing in close proximity. Some distance out, a grouping of residences will appear from behind a stand of pines to port. We'll keep on a bit farther until we pass between two opposing points, where the distant 1375 bridge comes into view. If your aim is an out-and-back paddle on the southeastern side of Stubblefield Lake Road, a trek all the way out to the aforementioned bridge would make a respectable waypoint. However, for today's journey, we'll sweep around here and set our heading north. For our return, we'll hug the eastern shoreline past the residential section mentioned earlier, until the avenue begins once again to narrow and the aesthetic shifts from the broad expanse of Lake Conroe back to a quaint bayou. Thanks to our early detour, we'll have plenty of new waterway to traverse before intersecting the course of our earlier paddle strokes. Soon afterward, we'll once again pass beneath Stubblefield Lake Road. Here we could choose to conclude the paddle, but today's curiosity causes the trek to continue a bit farther along the northern stretch. On this side of the bridge, the waterway is just a bit wider and sports more of a bottomland aesthetic. It snakes around gently, where a keen eye will spot an unassuming break in the tree line to port. We'll head onto this section and almost immediately continue right onto a tighter stretch offering several complementary arbors. Approximately a quarter-mile in, the channel narrows even more significantly. Here we'll once again sweep around and head south down the sheltered tributary. But instead of keeping left, we'll continue straight past the carve-out we came in on, which parallels the more open stretch for a bit before putting us back onto it. Another quarter-mile or so, and we'll arrive back at the launch, concluding a nearly 6-mile paddle. My closing thoughts on the Stubblefield Lake route are as follows. It's a peaceful route in the heart of the Sam Houston National Forest, which also means there are plenty of other outdoor activities close at hand. It offers a pleasant mixture of bayou and open water. The waterborne vegetation can be a bit immersion-breaking, but I estimate there are enough gently flowing passages to provide unhindered avenues onto the lake if desired. The sheltered waters in the immediate vicinity of Stubblefield Lake Road are well suited to windy days. As always, I advocate plenty of caution when paddling open water on gusty occasions. However, even with today's 11-mile-per-hour winds and 19-mile-per-hour gusts, the lake itself was quite manageable. You will need to keep your focus, as dozens of hardwood stumps dot the lake's surface, but there's no shortage of room to maneuver. The route also offers the flexibility to tailor the length of your paddle, making it conducive to most experience levels. It's well worth checking out. Give it a shot. Paddle safe, and God bless.